Hi, YouTube. If I get cut off, I will be back. I'm pretty sure I'll just make like a part two of this. Oh, I have some things that are weighing on my mind. I'll tell you how it got there. Well, a lot of you know how that got there, but like today in particular. Um, Last night I was listening to a live stream, uh, the Royal We about narcissism and how it correlates with scripture. And he does a really, really good job at counseling people, but he ran into a bit of a dilemma last night. I'll tell you about it just a moment. Excuse me. Okay. There was two phone calls from men, which was a little surprising because a lot of them don't talk too openly about being sexually abused in their life, especially when it's incest. So, I'm a really big voice for the people in the world that have had these things happen to them. And sometimes it's just a visual thing. My main thing, and I'll tell you about the story in brief in a minute here, but my main thing is adults that are narcissistic taking away the child's sexuality before they can choose naturally for themselves. So, without naming any names, I'll tell you what happened to this man, for instance. Here's just a for instance, and it doesn't matter what age child you are when this type of thing happens to you, it's criminal. And that's something that shouldn't be overlooked by anybody. And if you're going to counsel on narcissism, I hope and pray that you will make the connection that sexual abuse, even with words, is one of the number one things these people use against others. Adults hurting a child in any sexually explicit way is against the will of God, and I'm not standing for it. So, all right, so this man was talking how he was like an adolescent, and obviously his mother wasn't in her right mind, or either parent, his entire life. But he was in a mall with her, and she pointed out some lingerie and said the words something to the effect of, "Wouldn't you like to buy that for me?" That's beyond gross, you know. Um, when we as adults in this world, excuse me, my nose is itching. Um, mm, so yeah. Anyway, there wasn't nothing there, just an itch. But anyway, okay. When we as adults in this world ignore the sexual exploitation of children and the things that our children see and hear in this world, and we think it's no consequence or no bearing on how God views us if we don't speak up against it, my thoughts are you couldn't be more wrong. What these people do is entirely criminal, and then to go into watching porn with their children, and when you take like a 6 year old, like this other man was 6 years old, and his parents taught him about sexuality by exposing their own bodies to him. I'd like to smack somebody. Anybody else? Hello. um but and then that brings me to another point. When you're sexually abused by the same sex parent, then you do not even have a chance of seeing any sexual relationship in your future with any normalcy. And if you have been in a bisexual relationship and you have that shared DNA, that is a struggle within yourself. I don't know that part personally, but I do know people that do have that part personally, and I have held them while they cried, and I'm not shutting up. And yes, I'm angry about it. The way this world is going out around and everything's cool and I'm not supposed to judge nothing and I'm just supposed to roll over and play dead while people that I care and love and care about are being hurt and injured and ignored. I can't be silent. And it's something I actually probably talk about it at least 2-3 times a week. I can't stand it. That's misplaced sexuality towards children. And if you don't think that women pretending to be men or men pretending to be women has no effect on some tiny little innocent looking at that freakish crap, you have another thing coming. And if you want to say I'm hateful, you're absolutely wrong. You couldn't be more wrong. You don't know how I feel inside towards anybody, and none of it's with hate. I've watched people cry over this shit, so don't tell me how I feel. I have personally had people I'm related to destroyed by other people by the means of a narcissist using these tactics that were designed by demons. And I'm not shutting up. Now, here's something, and I did. If I don't agree with somebody, I don't like what they're saying, all I got to do is scroll on by, right? Or not listen to them. Well, it's fine. I just ended up turning off a video today I wished I had never had to turn off. But that's just the way it is. Um, when I know for a fact that what is being promoted in this world is the same thing that got the fallen angels kicked out of heaven. Well, if you don't believe in scripture, I guess you don't believe in it. And if you want to actually take the words and make them into some other words to suit yourself and to suit and appease other people, that's good too. That's what you want to do. That's not something I'm comfortable with. I'm not comfortable misleading anybody in this world. I'm also not comfortable with hating anybody. So you can't put that on me ever. But I do need people to, if you think that you even value anything that I say or think, you might want to think on what I'm saying as a very, very important thing. I'm not calling for you to hate on people. I'm calling you to see what makes people who they are and why they are, not just accepting of it. We don't just roll over and accept, oh, there's going to be a war. Why is there going to be a war? That type of thing. What's up, Doug? Oh, okay. But yeah, so I'm going to stand firm on my beliefs of not perpetuating um, this do what you will and free love and who God made people to be. I'm just not going to bend my ways. That you may say that I'm not open minded, and there again, you couldn't be more wrong. Who's open minded for my cause? Who's open minded that I don't want the next generation to go into war or to cut off their body parts or add things to them? Is there anybody that's going to help me stand up to protect people from actually harming themselves with the shared DNA? And they're fighting for their own egos in their own pride because they don't want to admit what happened to them to begin with, or maybe who did that to them. That's what's going on in this world. And I have a lot of people that agree with me but won't speak up. Yeah, I know. It's not an easy thing to talk about. It's not an easy thing to be hated when you're trying to love. But that's okay too. I'm going to keep judging on it because I know what's right or wrong. God didn't make me a mother and a grandmother to be a piece of shit and just to say, oh, that's okay, do what you want to do. That's not the way you raise a child. You give them your opinion, you don't force it on them. You teach them what God expects out of us. And it's love. It's always about love. Here's a for instance. One of my sons could bring their lover in my home, like it hasn't happened. But I would expect for them to respect the limits of my home. Well, that's all God's expecting out of his people is to respect those limits, and they're pushing them. What more can I say? Well, I'm going to go back to the part where if you're teaching a child wrong, it's better to have a millstone tied around your neck. And I'll take it one step further. If I can help tie that sucker around your neck, put you in a boat and throw you in the sea, yeah. Hey, I'm serious. Hey, go ahead and hate me. I won't hate you, and that's okay. I'm telling you like it is. So if you want to try and misconstrue it, like I said, just because I don't agree with somebody doesn't mean I'm not going to treat them decent, and doesn't mean that I'm going to treat them like a freak. Oh, I'll crack some jokes and I'll put some points home that they won't be able to ignore, like I just did right here. And you can try and twist my words however you want to try. It's not going to work. This world wasn't made to be the Antichrist freak show. This is not a host body situation. That's what they want to try and make it. This is God's planet with the biological family in charge of this planet. That's who He made us to be. And if you don't believe in God, you really don't belong watching me for number one. And if you really don't know what's in your heart, because I've been hard pressed, this has been on my heart for decades. Misplaced sexuality towards children. And that, my dear friends, is exactly what they're trying to usher in. It has nothing to do with any adults or what they want to do in their private chambers. It has to do what they want to do with the next generation, and that burns me up. That's what gets me fired up. And yeah, I'm really protective. I'm protective over everybody. I really am. I don't care who it is if I see an injustice being done. But to say that I'm doing somebody an injustice for speaking out for the next little boy or girl that wants to live in a linear world the way God made us to live, I'm not going to be quiet. So I'm not saying, oh, you're going to hell and blah, blah, blah. No, but what I will say is before you die, you'll hear my words and you'll know I spoke them out of love. Whether you want to admit it to the world or not, that's up to you, and that's on you. I'm out here willing to be hated, which I know some people do, because I won't be silent. Because when I hear grown people crying over the things that I'm speaking about, who's getting hurt? Who's getting hurt? The dude in the purple dress or the dude that got raped by his father? You know? Who's getting hurt? The little baby seeing the dude in the purple dress or the dude in the purple dress? Let's really get real here now. You know, you don't think that's a freak show? You think some little girl wants to see some guy with a penis in a dress? Little girls can't be little girls anymore. And if you're a little boy, yeah, good luck with all that, right? Well, it is an extremely big deal. And more people should stand up for the next generation. And I'm not going to be silent. And once again, I hope my friends from over on the Royal We, um, um, like I say, he's an excellent counselor, excellent as far as narcissism is concerned. But the connection between narcissism and misplaced sexuality is the biggest tool. Money is not the root of all evil. Sexuality is, and it always has been. From the first time, the first woman that was raped by Satan till now. And it's all going to come out. The truth will be known. And then the people that are sticking up for the foolish ones, you'll be as foolish as they are. Well, you already are. But I'm waiting, I'm hoping. But I'm not going to be quiet. Like I say, when I hear grown people crying because they never had a chance to have a life, a normal life, because of the types of things that are going on in the world, I just got to come out here and say, hey, I love you and I'm going to stand up for you. I'm not going to be quiet. So that's why. Otherwise, I could easily ignore it. I've had customers and I've had friends, and I could say, and I could go on. Yes, I still in relatives that have walked on the wild side, and I could say, oh, yeah, that's totally whatever you want to do. I'm like, no, no, not whatever you want to do. You know, even if it's in the deepest part of your heart, you know, you don't show that to the next generation. It stops here. That's what, who's got to open their mind? Really, enough with the games. Just because you say it doesn't make it true. Or a person. If a person told me my mind has to be more open, no. Open your heart and turn your brain off for a second. You know, let's start using our hearts. I'm using mine, or you'd be dead. The people that hurt my children or whatever, you think if I didn't have a heart? Think about that. Or the person that annihilated me or people when I was young, when I grew up to be able to do something for myself. That's love. They died a somewhat natural death, I think. Or the next one will be shortly. You know, next. You know, but hey, whatever. You know, I'm a mom. I'm not acting like my kid's best friend. I'm acting like a mother would act to protect them from what I know to be true in my heart. And I do have an open mind, open enough to share the sorrows of the world with people and not sugarcoat them, to protect them and protect theirs, to show them that, yes, people really will, without hatred, stand up and say, I love you, but what you're doing is going to hurt you and the next generation, and I can't be quiet about it because of that love. So, but I'm telling you, if you have parents or had parents in your life that have acted sexually deviant around you, they should be in jail, let alone what God's going to do to them. But yeah, it is criminal. And I'm telling you, that's what they're trying to do. That's what the dark cabal wants, is to destroy your children. And that's the biggest means with your flesh. That's how they do it. So if you have people in your life that are overlooking this and not thinking it is an issue, let me tell you, it's an issue. I wish I would have had somebody like me standing up for me when I was little. Oh, yeah, I do. I sure do. Well, I hear somebody's calling me, but I'm not answering. It might be for Doug. He's got a lot of ads on Marketplace to sell things, so we're weeding out all our stuff and heading out further away from everything, hopefully, soonly. And if you don't want to come with, I'll go alone. But yeah, I'm just it's too crowded around where I live, too noisy. I've been around too many people in my life as far as, well, I have pretty decent neighbors. I honestly really do. Um, they could be worse. I have ones I absolutely love, but and I wish I could take them to wherever I want to go, but yeah, but I don't know. I had to speak about it, and more counselors really should make the connection with the misplaced sexuality, the deviantness, and narcissism, because this is the biggest crime against humanity. It always has been. Don't overlook it. It's a warning from me to, if you're listening to me and you know who you are, if you can't, at least, if you want to overlook it on your own, that's fine, but don't insult me on your fucking way. Because that's not something you want to do. So you're slapping love right in the face. You don't want to do that. I'll guarantee it. So let's keep that in mind, Mr. or Mrs. Millstone. And like I said, for you ones that have been hurt by adults like that and see all this clown show bullshit out here in this world, just know that there are people like me that don't overlook it. And we have very open minds and very open hearts, and we love you, and we're going to stand up and do what's right. We're going to speak out against it with love in our hearts and not stop. We'll show you what the true will of God means when you love. That's standing up in a verse manner towards the whole world. Am I brave? Brave enough. Are you? How much do you love people? Do you love somebody enough to say, hey, I love you, but what you're doing is really a freak show? And I'm not going to stop loving you, so don't stop loving me. We can work through this together, but not if you tell me my mind isn't open and shut my love off. By way, you've already shut your love off. So that's about it. Well, I have some things I want to do and I might be back, but I don't think this message is over. Um I got spurred on with it. Um I know I don't trust anybody, and this is the reason why, because the minute I think things might be okay and somebody might have saw something they didn't see before, it didn't come true. So I just have to stand my ground, and I'm standing alone. I hope somebody wants to stand up for me and with me, but I'll do it alone. Okay? Peace.